So today we're going to do a little bit of Java. I think I've never done this before technically. We're going to do a library management system in Java. So I'm going to code this thing from scratch, showing you live how I'm doing it. So before we get into this one, I just want to show you a little bit of the hierarchy in the library management system. So my idea is that we're going to have a library system, right? This the green one is basically library system, obviously. And in the library system, we'll have like items that are either borrowable or not, and also the users, which are like the abstract classes. But the borrowable here, I'm gonna make it like an interface where user is obviously gonna be abstract classes, which inherits like both of the student and the faculty subclasses. And same as this one as well, borrowable will have like book and newspaper here. You can have more than these two if you want, like magazines, like something else, whatever. But for simplicity's sake, we're just going to have book and newspaper. So let's just begin. First of all, I'm going to code. I'm going to make a borrowable interface and the users abstract classes. So yeah, let's just go ahead and do it right now. You'll probably be asking like, why are we doing interfaces and subclasses? So the truth is that interface allows you to basically to have abstract methods inside it, whereas the abstract classes obviously will have, abstract methods too, but this time around we can have instantiated um, methods, right? So that makes it a little bit easier for us to handle in the user subclass. So anyway, I'm gonna call it like borrowable interface, and then we're gonna create another class here, which is gonna be, like I said, abstract class for user. So in the borrowable, we're going to have the boolean of this thing because we want to check whether the item, either book or newspaper, is borrowable or not. So that's all we're going to have. Just a boolean can be borrowed, which is going to check, like I said, true or false. And in the user class here, we're going to, make it abstract. And then we'll have our encapsulated data field, which first of all, we need to have the name of the user, of course. We're gonna have the borrow limit where we want to set the books something, the limit of the books and newspaper to be borrowed or not. And then we're going to have another data field here, which we're going to track the item borrowed. Okay, so we'll have the default constructor right here. So we'll have borrowed, hang on, borrow limit, and this thing. We're not gonna have like the item borrowed, we're just gonna have a borrowed limit only. Okay, this one we're just gonna set the name to name and borrowed limit to borrowed limit, and also the item borrowed it's gonna be default to like 0 because you create a new user, so the item borrowed should be 0. This time around, we're not gonna set any setter. Okay, we're just going to get only the getter for the constructor for the user. So we're going to select all three. So we're gonna get the setter for only 3 of these. So as usual, Alt insert on Windows and Control return on Mac. Just click on it; it will generate the getter for you. And then we will have the abstract method over here. Void. We're going to have borrow item, I think, which library. But this will do later, but it doesn't matter here. We'll come back to it later. Okay, so we need to have a library object, which is going to be inherit from the library superclass, right? So we need to have the library and the item that are borrowed by the user. And also we're gonna have, sorry, my typing is really atrocious today. I cannot type anything, so we need to return item as well. So when we have borrow, which will allow user to return that items that they have borrowed. Same thing, just we need to inherit this thing from the library, and then string item, same thing. So, and then we're gonna set the, when user has borrowed item, which is gonna increase the item borrowed. And then same thing for the when they return, right? When they return the book, so they should set their item count to decrement the item count for them. I think it should be done for the user class here. For the library, which is gonna do it later, even though it's red, I think it's fine. So I think we're done with the user class. So here, after the user class, so we're gonna go to the student and the faculty, okay? So we're gonna create a new, I guess two new classes called student. And another one should be called faculty. So in the student class, before we do that, we have to extend user, okay? Extend from the user. We're gonna create a public, default constructor for student, which will have the super dot I think name and the borrow limit should be 2. Sorry, string name right here. Super, sorry, not this one. So okay, we don't have dot over there, kind of mistake on my end. So the student should have a name of the student from the user, right? And then we're gonna have the name. It's gonna inherit the name and also borrow limit. You can set it to 10, whatever you want. But in this time around, it's gonna set the borrow limit to 2. So we have red right here. Let me try to we have to make it abstract. So we're gonna implement methods to override those things, okay? And there you go. First of all, we have to check if the items they borrowed exceed the limit or not. So you're gonna have get item borrowed more than or equals to get borrow limit. So we have to check if, like I said, if it has reached the limit or not. If it has reached the limit, we're gonna print a nice message for them. They just gonna the limit is reached, and then just return and do nothing. And also we have to check library dot borrow item, and we're gonna have the item inside there. And this is basically just means item right here. Okay, we have the item name string, so the name of this item, and then we're gonna increase the item borrowed, and we're gonna have borrowed successfully. Just a nice message for them to be user friendly. All right. Also here we'll have if library dot return. We don't have this thing yet, but I think it's fine. Sorry, this should be the name. And then decrease if they return. And then we're gonna have a message which will tell them return successfully. That should be done for the student, and we will have faculty right now. So we're gonna have a faculty. Again, don't forget to extend the superclass, otherwise it will show error. The same thing is here, just click on this one, we'll show you how to fix it. So we're gonna implement the methods from the abstract method over here, because we have 2 abstract method right here, right? So we need to make them, we have to implement them in here. If we don't implement them, it's not gonna work. I think it should be the same thing as student, so we're gonna copy from here to here, should be the same. And this one's the same too. There we go. We need to have a default constructor as well for faculty. This should have the name as the parameter. I think I want to set this name, this sorry, not this, super, then name and how many limits, like borrowable limit. Just have 5. Let's just say 5. So I think we should be done. Faculty here should be done. Just don't like freak out yet, since library is red. I think, like I said, it's fine. Okay. So let's just do borrowable. Borrowable, like I said, we have books and newspaper. So we're gonna create 2 new subclasses for book and newspaper. Okay. So this thing we should implement. Okay, since we have interface, borrowable is an interface class. No, I shouldn't say class. Interface, not class. Okay, sorry. So we're gonna have implements, borrowable. Okay, we have to implement that inside there. Let's fix this thing first before we go something. So we're gonna set the boolean to false. Okay, we're gonna set override the the method inside this variable to be defaulted to false. Newspaper, we're gonna do newspaper first. So no pressure here. Oops, sorry. Okay, so we'll need to have title for the newspaper, and then we'll have a default constructor right here. Newspaper string title, and this title gonna set to title. Okay, and then we're gonna have a getter, this one, and we're gonna have the getter, and then we're gonna have a toString method, I guess. The reason why we don't have a setter because we don't want the user to just reset, their title. That doesn't make any sense. So we only need the getter for the title in this case. So we will have a toString object over here. So string to string, and then we're gonna return a message, newspaper, and then we'll have title equals to plus title and close bracket. And yeah, it should be done here right now. Okay, moving on to book, we'll have implements. Sorry, not this one. They just stupidly like write this on me for me, but okay, implements borrowable as the interface here. So the book here, we will have the private string title. We'll have the title for the book, and then we'll have author. We'll have the book author, and then also this thing we're just gonna set the boolean. We have to check if it's borrowed or not, right? So I forgot to tell you one thing, like the newspaper here, I don't want to set it to be borrowable. I just like changed my mind, like it doesn't make any sense to borrow newspapers, so I decided to just like, okay, if we have newspaper, let's just can go ahead and just get it immediately, so it doesn't matter. But for books here, we can borrow books, so it's how I'm gonna set it. So at the same time, let's override the implement methods and booleans right here, so the default should be false. Okay, the borrowed abstract boolean right here should be false as the default. So we have a constructor which for the book, of course. So we will have the title as the parameter and also the author as well. Author, and then this title should be, yeah, title, this author, and borrowed, this dot borrowed, sorry, this dot borrowed. It doesn't matter if you write this dot or not, the IDE will figure out what is it anyway. So yeah, so we'll have string get title. This is the getter. Okay, not setter. We don't need the setter, so we only need to set the getter only. We don't want the users to reset these things. So, and then to string, uh, book title, author, borrowed, uh, title, author. We have author as well, and then we want to know if it's borrowed or not. Plus borrowed and close bracket, and we should be good to go. So yeah, I think everything should good to go. So these things already done. Student book and everything is done now. So let's just create a library system. Okay. So we're on to like library right now. First off, let's just encapsulate some of the data fields. Let's create an array of items. Okay, which was stored in the borrowable interface, and then we have to keep the count of the items. Of course. So we need to say num items, I guess. Say num items, so we have the constructor library right here. We want to have the max item um for the library. How much you want to obtain, it's up to you. So there you go. And then num item should be 0, default to 0. And then we'll have the getter for the items. So we'll have getter only, set those two. There you go. And then we'll have the check the check the limit of the items. So we have to check, okay? So we're gonna write a class right here, void add item, borrowable items. Yeah, if num items equals. This is not right. Yep, it should be this one. Okay. Or less something. Items not length. It's the length of that array itself, you know. And then we're gonna have if it's less than, just go ahead and add it. And then we're gonna print, okay, items added successfully. Successfully. So else, otherwise we're just gonna say, okay, the library is full if it's reached the limit. Items only full, doesn't make sense. So library is already full. We're gonna have like a function to check the if the that item is borrowable or not. So for we're gonna loop, okay, through this one, items dot I, and then we're gonna create borrowable items equals to items in the I integer. Okay, sorry, I've got the S there. Don't we have it? Like, I don't know. Borrowable items should be items. This one should be this. Or no, this shouldn't be it. That should be the title and user. I'm gonna create a user object. Check if the book is already borrowed. Okay. If item instance of book object that we just created and book item, we're gonna force the item to be the book, whether is it like newspaper or something, just gonna force dot get title. So we're gonna get the title of that function, and then equals to the title, and then yeah, that's it. And then we're going to create an object called book equals to book item, and then if that book dot is borrowed, okay, if the book is already borrowed, just say book is already borrowed, and then return false, and then else if it's like not borrowed, we're gonna set the borrowable to true, and then return true. Set borrowed. Do we have this? I don't think we do have this, right? Sorry, we need this one. That's why we don't have it. Set borrowed and the boolean this dot borrowed and borrowed. So we need this one, okay, to set the status of the book if it's borrowed or not. All right, this should be, yep. I'm gonna check if, sorry, not book item, instead of newspaper, sorry, not book. Newspaper, this is, they wrote it wrong, and then newspaper item, this thing, it should be like equals ignore case, and then title. Yeah, I think this thing should be ignore case. Well, it doesn't matter if the user is writing capital letter or lower letter, it doesn't matter. And then we're gonna set newspaper. Since since we cannot borrow like newspaper, gonna say newspaper is not borrowable. Borrowable. And then I'm gonna return false. System out right here. I'm gonna say items not found. There you go. If either they cannot search for the book or newspaper, if both of them does not exist in the system, then yeah, then turn false. There you go. Wow, that's a lot to take in. It's fun though, isn't it? Like, yeah. And then we're gonna check the return item again. So this one is public, same thing, boolean return item, and this one we need the title and the username. Okay, so for ini should be the same here, and then we're gonna set the borrow the object this thing, create a new object if instead of the book should be the same as like the first one, but instead we're going to check if the book is borrowed or not. So if the book has been borrowed, and I'm gonna um, check and then set the status to false because you return the book, right? So it should set it to false and then we return true. And then we're just going to system out right here. We don't have to check for the newspaper because newspaper is not borrowable anyway, so there's no way to return items not found. And I'm gonna return false. Return false just means that item is still borrowed, so you know. All right, public void display. I'm gonna call it like display items. So we're gonna boolean to check if it has items or not. There are like multiple way to do this. Like if you don't want to do it like me, I think it's fine. So we're gonna set the default status to false. Then for in I, and then yeah, I'm gonna loop through the array. Gonna loop through the array and just like print everything out. If instant item instant of book, and then we're gonna print out the book. Okay, book items, system print out, and then we're gonna print out the book. Okay, print out this book object right here. It exists in the array, and then we're gonna set the has item to true, and then else if you have to be, I mean, you can just do else, it doesn't matter, but I'm gonna like be certain, like 100% certain. Same thing, newspaper, then we cast newspaper item, and then print an item out, and then set the has item status to true. And then after that, we're gonna check if not has item, if the array itself doesn't have anything in it, like and what do we do? And we just send a system out and say library is empty. Okay. If basically if that array has 0 items, we're gonna say the library is empty. I think it should be it. I think it should be, yeah, this for the borrow item, return items. Yeah, I think it should be it. Let's create, I think I already have the main function right here. Before we do that, it's only to have to import. No, not this one. Have to import all the library inside here. So, and then all of it. And then main right here, gonna create a main class. And then we're going to create a library object. Library equals to new library. And then the max items here, just say 50. I don't know. We're gonna override to 50. Remember, we set the default to 2, right? No, not 2. I didn't. Did we set? No, we did not set. So the max item here should take the max item, put it into library. Create an array of 50 items in it. And then we're going to, no, that's not main class array. Oh, why not? Good. So, and then we're going to have a scanner, which will take the user input. So scanner, a new scanner. System in. Okay, it's all the import this thing, which is great. And then we're going to have an infinity loop. It's called true, okay? It's gonna loop forever unless the users decided to break. So we're going to have system, what am I doing? System out. So we're going to print out a library management system title. Just gonna bring the title, library management system. There you go. We can first of all add item system out, just print, and then we're going to print like enter your choice. We need to have print, okay, not print line. We don't want the cursor to move to a new line. I like it when it's, you know, on the same line as this one, the cursor. So we have the scanner. When the users input whatever value in it, we're going to put it in a choice variable right here. And then we're going to have a switch case at this one. And then we're going to have choice. So we're going to have case 1 if user entered the number 1, which is I think add item. So we're going to write add item, enter item. We have to specify the type first, okay? Is it, what type is it? Is it books or newspaper? So we have to specify for the user. And I'm gonna store it in a string type, and then scanner next line. Okay. Um I'm gonna say item type. I think type doesn't, yeah. and then we're gonna enter the item title in here. Item title, and then the item type, we're going to say item title. All right, and then we're gonna store in this string variable. And then we have to check though if the user has entered like book or newspaper, and then we're gonna go different route. So if item types equals to this one, right, to book, or even better, equals ignore case, so user can put it in capital letter or lowercase letter, it doesn't matter. So if the item type equals to book, and then yeah, we're going to do as the following. We're going to enter the book author, and then we're gonna create a string author. I think all doesn't make sense. I think it's just book author, and then we're going to do library dot add items. So we're gonna add it to the library object. So we're gonna create a new object right here, book, and then we're gonna add the item title and as well as the book author. And then I'm gonna do else if the item type equals to newspaper, like no case. Enter, we don't need to enter newspaper title because the item title does it for us. To add item news, paper and item title. So I'm gonna add it to the library. And then we're gonna check the last case, which if the user doesn't type anything, let's just say, you want them to type book and newspaper, but user type something else or doesn't type anything. And then we're gonna like, yeah, invalid item type, just put a nice message to them. And then after all that, we're just going to break. Okay, so we're going to break. And then let's move on to case 2, borrow item. Let's just check first if the library is empty, all right? Otherwise, if the library is empty, sorry, I forgot. If it's less than 1, okay? If the library is empty, then we're just going to print out library is empty, cannot borrow, and then we're just going to break. Else, so enter user type. So we'll have to specify the user type for them. Are they like a student or a faculty? Okay, so we want them to enter student. I mean the user type, and then we're gonna store it in here. Anyway, after we have their user type, we want the name of the user. Yeah, it's up to you if you want to do them or not, doesn't matter. I think I specified it in here too, in the user. um yeah, we need their name and their borrow limit. I think Wally did it in like student and the faculty, so we need their name, of course, so we need to do it as this one. If you don't want their name, I think it's fine, you can modify it a little bit, but we want their name, so we want to store it in the name variable, string username. And then next line, and then we want to ask them for what's the item that you want to borrow. So we want to set what's your borrow item. My god, why am I keeping printing like next lines on that? Doesn't make any sense. So string borrowed item, and then yeah, and then store the variable in here. And then we have to check if the user types either student or the faculty. Yeah, just check oh, before we do that, we have to create a user object here. Okay, a user object, and then point it to null, just so that we don't repeat any code. And just say if the user equals to the student, and then we're gonna pass their name in here. Yeah, and then else if want to be like really specify that, and then faculty, and we get their name over there, and then we're gonna go with else system out, and then we're gonna say invalid user type, and then we're just gonna break. And then after the user has specified their user type already, we're just gonna set like user dot borrow item, and then we're gonna add the first of all the library object first, and then we're gonna set the item that they borrowed in there. Yeah, so we're gonna create and put it in the array. So I think that's all we have to do. This one, case 3, I think return item, I believe. Yep, that is return item. return item. Nothing to do a lot. I think it should be the same as the borrow item, but instead just want to um yeah, return some of the items. We're gonna change some user type a little bit. So here, the same check first before we execute all those code. Check first if the library is empty, then otherwise just don't let the user borrow any item because it doesn't make any sense for the user to borrow item when the library is empty. Um, yeah, so we're gonna have system out and then enter the user type. It should be the same, you know. I guess I'm kind of really lazy. I'm just gonna copy all the codes in here. All right, gonna copy all the codes in here, but instead this one is not borrow item. I'm gonna change this thing to return items. User right here, we're gonna say, let's just say return user so that we don't like mess anything up. I think I'll do this one the same as well. I have to specify what kind of user this is. Borrow user. Okay, should be done now. I think the fourth one should be display items. And then just call that function, display function in the library, and that's it, break. Don't forget to break though. If you don't break, then it'll like go to other cases, then it'll mess you up. And this one is just like exit, I guess, exit system out. And we're gonna say a nice message for them. So we're gonna print a message for them, like say thank you for using the library management system, and then say just say goodbye you want scanner dot close. Sorry, not the capital S. This is object. So I want to close the scanner. If you don't want to do that, doesn't matter. But I'm not sure about the other IDE, but especially in the IntelliJ, you can skip this part. You know, IntelliJ will figure that out for you, so you don't need that. So the default, if user doesn't enter anything, which is system out invalid choice, please input again. Yeah, I think we should be done now. I guess our library system here. Let's go ahead and run it. I think it should be done now. Okay, so our choice, let's go with let's check first if we can borrow or not. Library is empty, cannot borrow. That's good. Okay, that's good. Okay, let's try the third one, return items. Library is empty, cannot borrow. Hang on, we have a little bit of bug right here. So let's go to library, I think. Why does it spit like library is empty? I did not like display any items. That doesn't make any sense. It should be in the library, but for some reason it says library is empty, but I don't know where is it. Should be this one, right? But you know, I returned the item. Doesn't make any sense. Oh, wait a minute. I think I know why. I think I know why now. This should be scanner dot next line. Otherwise, it's gonna go. Otherwise, it's gonna go to the next case. So it's a bug right there. You have to be a little careful here. Put the next line right here. Yeah. Otherwise, I spit out some random things. So we don't want that. Oh wait. I know what's wrong because I did not break. Did I? Yeah, I did not break. That's why. That's the reason I did not break. Okay. Don't forget to break. And then we're gonna type this thing again, and there you go. Now it's the choice. So let's try to add an item, I guess. So let's just add item type. We're gonna add a book. Book title, just go book one, author one. Yep, there you go. Items added successfully. So when we display the item, we'll have library is empty. Why didn't I add it like already? Did I? Yep, that's the problem right here, I think. Because we never increment this one. So we should increment this. So let's try to run it again. I think it should work now because never increment the thing. I think I found the problem. In choice, book one, author one. Added successfully, and when we display, yep, there you go. It works now. So we have to update the thing so the status is false. So that's really good to know. All right, so what if we add like a newspaper right here? News one. And in display, we have book and newspaper. All right, that's good. So we add another book. Book two, author two, and then we display it. Okay, we have a book and another book in the newspaper. Okay, What if the user want to borrow, like student want to borrow, and then name, I don't know, A, and an item to borrow. Let's just say I want to borrow the book one. And then we're gonna see the status. Okay, book one is borrowed by someone. Let's say if they want to return, sorry, I want to return three, student. When they want to return, the name should be A, item to, wait, item to return, sorry, this shouldn't be borrowed. So book one, return successfully, sorry, this thing should be, to return, item to borrow, student A, item to return. Let's say I want to return book one, return successfully, and we'll display the item right now. So book one is false right here. And yeah, I think everything should work now, I guess. Wow, such a roller coaster ride, Jesus. It's been a while finding all the errors and everything. Jesus, took me a while, not gonna lie. Yeah, I think everything should work at this point, even though I didn't test all the function there, but I believe everything should work. Yeah, we're gonna leave it here now. So yeah, anyway, maybe see you in another video. So I think in the next video, we're going to code AVL tree or whatever in C++. So yeah, see you in that episode, I guess. So we're gonna end this one here now. And it's been a wild ride. But anyway, I know this is such a really long video, but I think the next video should be really, really short. So yeah, see you in the next one.